Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. I have another video for you right here on YouTube. We're going to talk about some guys who have had their stock go up in the past week and 5 guys who have seen their stock fall in the past week. So this is our stock up, stock down. It's going to come out every single Tuesday. I'm going to take a look at some guys that have seen a rise or, experienced a fall in value, whether it's for daily fantasy or for your at-home leagues or your high stakes leagues or whatever leagues you're playing that have waiver wire pickups that have to be made. This is going to help you in those leagues. I'm going to try and make it a weekly video that we're going to put out here on the channel every Tuesday afternoon. I record them live on twitch.tv/Al_smizzle. Links to that and all my other socials are available down below in the description, as well as my Instagram, which is in the pinned comment down below. I appreciate all the love that you guys have shown throughout August, and especially so far with the 3 videos that we produced yesterday to help you out for the week 1 slate on DraftKings, the first look, which comes out every Monday, the Thursday night football video, as well as the strategy guide to help you with some strategies for the single game showdown slates that there are. So without further ado, let me get you right into the guys that I think have seen a stock up this week. And we're going to start with Devin Singletary. He is as good as it gets if you're looking for a guy who was low priced and has seen a massive uptick with LeSean McCoy being cut. Is he going to be a bell cow? Is he going to be somebody who's going to get 20 or 25 touches? No, he's not. You didn't draft him for that. He was going in like the 12th to 14th rounds in most drafts. He was creeping up a little bit. That's fine. As the preseason went on, I expect him to get about 15 carries a game for this Bills offense. It's going to look to run, and I'm okay with it. I am totally okay with drafting Devin Singletary or picking him up off the waiver wires if he's available in your leagues. And now on DraftKings, he's 3,600 for week 1. Now, I don't think that we need the value right now in week 1, especially at running back, probably the deepest position on the board. I don't even think that he's a great tournament play on the road against the Jets. But for your season-long leagues, he's somebody that you definitely want to get involved with if you have him on your waiver wires. Somebody that should be picked up in pretty much all leagues, either as a stash, an RB4, or whatever you can afford to get him for. So fab budget's going to be going to him this week. Austin Eckler, no way he's on the waiver wire in your league, but he's only 5,500 on DraftKings. Melvin Gordon is assuredly not playing in week 1 and may not play this whole season. I would assume that he's going to play somewhere, report or sign or do whatever by week 10 because he needs to. Otherwise, it's going to keep his clock slowed and he's not going to reach actual free agency earlier. But who cares? Austin Eckler right now is the man. Expecting 17 touches from him. Very good in the pass game on a per game basis. Fantasy points on a per touch basis as well, for an offense that has leaned heavily on their running backs the last 2 or 3 years once they get inside the red zone and inside the 10-yard line where you really make the money. 5,500 in week 1 on DraftKings if Tony Pollard is not there. And right now we don't know. Stock on Tony Pollard way up, but it could just crash immediately. Austin Eckler, probably my second favorite hyper value play at the position this week on DraftKings, because Tony Pollard would be the number 1 value this week if Zeke Elliott doesn't sign this contract in time for him to get back into practice and be in game shape and they feel that he's ready to play. Tony Pollard is the biggest stock up for week 1 at only 4,500. There's no way he's available on your waiver wire in your league. If he is, thank every other owner after you pick him up before you finish this video, because if he's still there and Zeke doesn't play in week 1, you're looking at somebody with a pretty good matchup who can catch the ball, going to be used at the goal line, probably the best value in week 1 on DraftKings, no matter what projection system you use. For 4,500 is just too cheap in the matchup with the volume that he should see. Another stock up candidate, as we talked about earlier, LeSean McCoy going to the Chiefs. Now, this is something I spoke about in depth on stream earlier. I'm going to get into it just a little bit here. LeSean McCoy, we don't know. We know that his value is up from where it was in Buffalo, as last year in Buffalo, he did not look good. A lot of people are blaming that on the offensive line. A lot of people are blaming that on the fact that they just were in bad game script situations. They were usually playing from behind. They had a quarterback that couldn't move people off the line, so he was facing stuffed boxes a lot. But also, if you look at independent stuff where when he faced light boxes, he didn't have very many yards either. When he was in the open field, his yards after first touch were not very good either. He's 31 years old. He's not getting any younger, just like none of us are. My issue is we don't know, although he is a big stock up candidate here, because if he takes over the lead job for the Kansas City Chiefs, his value absolutely skyrockets. It's already been shown in drafts so far since this signing happened that he has already jumped 5-6 rounds in drafts, going in the 11th and 12th rounds. Now he's a 5th, 6th round pick at the lowest end. So LeSean McCoy, not somebody I'm going to play on DraftKings in week 1, but is definitely a stash and hold in season long if he is at all available, because if he takes over the job, he's outstanding. The problem is we don't know. Anybody saying with assuredness that they know exactly what's happening in Kansas City with the running back situation is lying to you. They don't. They might be trying to make an educated guess of what they think will happen, but the only people who know are the coaches and the people in the running backs room. Typically, Andy Reid has used his running back 70+% of the time, getting 70+% of the touches in total at the position on the team. There is still value to be had for the change of pace back, for the secondary guy. Damien Williams, a better zone runner than is LeSean McCoy, and LeSean McCoy could take carries from him. They might have brought him on because they don't expect Damien Williams to be able to carry the ball 250 or 300 total touches on a year. So they brought McCoy in, and maybe they'll bring that 70% down to 60%. Maybe it's a 60-40 split in favor of Damien Williams. And maybe it's not. Maybe they brought him in because the other team that was going to get him is the Los Angeles Chargers, and they brought him in to block a division opponent from getting somebody that might have posed a threat to them in the division or possibly later on in the playoffs. Why let them have him when it only costs you $4 million? Yes, LeSean McCoy is making more money than Damien Williams is, but to me that's a little bit irrelevant because they paid what they had to pay to get him, and $4 million for a running back isn't all that much. So LeSean McCoy's stock is up. What it means for week 1, I still think Damien Williams sees the lion's shares of the touches at running back for the Chiefs in week 1. Already spoke to you about Tony Pollard. Albert Wilson, somebody else who at cut down day saw a big jump with Kenny Stills moving. That leaves Albert Wilson with an unquestioned starting job in Miami. Doesn't have to wait for 3 wide receiver sets to play. He will be the guy opposite of Parker. Will also see time in the slot for the Dolphins. No, they're not a good team. Yes, he will see elevated snaps and elevated targets as well. Damien Williams, I just spoke about at length with the LeSean McCoy thing, right? So we know about what's going on with Damien Williams. Stock obviously down. I still think there's value in Damien Williams, especially if he holds on to the lion's share of the touches at running back for the Chiefs. This is a high value spot. If he gets the ball 55 or 60% of the time for the Chiefs this year, he's going to smash. He will. It will not be as pronounced as if LeSean McCoy was not there, or if LeSean McCoy did not steal 15+% of those touches, moving him down from a 70% back down to a 55% back. So stock definitely down on Damien Williams, somebody I don't want to play in week 1 on DraftKings. If you want to take a tournament stab at him, you can. I don't think that it's necessary. N'Keal Harry, another guy who has seen a massive drop. He is on IR. He is not going to play. Was being drafted in the 10th or 11th rounds in a lot of drafts through draft season. I typically don't have any shares of him. I don't draft rookie wide receivers. The last time I was really going heavy on a rookie wide receiver was Randy Moss all those years ago. There was one year where it burned me. It was the Odell Beckham, Mike Evans, Sammy Watkins draft, where all of those guys had the best rookie years of any wide receivers ever, and collectively all in 1 year. I am not a wide receiver rookie playing guy, whether it's in daily fantasy or definitely not in season long. I'll try to pick my spots if they're there based on volume, but Harry going to be missing time. He'll be back later in the year. But again, a team that plays veterans, I wasn't buying. I'm glad that I didn't, and I hope that you didn't either. Kenny Stills sees a downgrade, moves from a bad offense to a much better offense, but is going to move down in snaps as well. Is not going to see the target share that he was going to see in Miami either. So yes, Kenny Stills will have maybe a big game this year, maybe 2, but for him to get consistent snaps, he's got to beat out. He ain't going to beat out Hopkins, and he's got to beat out Fuller. Now, there is a possibility that he's 1 injury away, and Fuller has been injured a lot in his career. So if that happens, Kenny Stills immediately moves into a stock up character. But for me, Kenny Stills is way less assured snaps, targets, market share, everything else. He looks like a 3 to 4 target guy a game right now. And I just can't buy at those prices. Somebody else whose price went down as a result of Kenny Stills moving is Kiki Kute. He's now got to fight for snaps with Kenny Stills. So this acquisition, while it helps the Texans, actually hurts both players in terms of fantasy. I'm not interested in either one of them right now. I'm focusing on Hopkins. I'm focusing on Fuller. Hopefully Fuller can stay healthy, because I don't like to see players get injured. But if he gets injured, that opens up a little bit more snaps and a lot more targets for both Stills and Kiki Kuti. But right now, they're not there for either. And the last player, the player who, because of the LeSean McCoy signing, sees the biggest downgrade, in my opinion, is Darwin Thompson. Somebody who was going to see probably 30% of the running back touches for Kansas City in that high-powered offense, and they were going to scheme to find ways to get this guy in the ball in his hands in space. That just isn't going to happen anymore. I mean, look, maybe it does, but it's not going to happen at a rate of 7 to 10 touches a week. It might happen 3 or 4 touches a week. That's not enough for us to be able to play him in season long. It crushes the shares that I have of him in best ball, unless they're only bringing LeSean McCoy on as a decoy, which I highly doubt. So somebody like Darwin Thompson, to me, becomes a low leverage stash. Maybe we can hang on to him for later in the year if you have a deep enough bench in your season long league. But if not, he's taking up a spot from somebody who's going to be on the field more, and it's impossible to score fantasy points if you're standing on the sideline holding your helmet. That's going to do it for today's video. I appreciate you guys tuning in once again. If you wouldn't mind, drop a like on this video. Leave me a reply, somebody that you think has had their stock go way up this week that maybe I might have missed. Subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell, and I'll catch up to you guys later. Bye.